program in Montreal to bring more vegetation to some of the back alleys. Also, generally is about slowing cars down, limiting cars in these spaces so that more social interaction can occur. Later in the day, not necessarily much later, but a bit later, that alley will be full of children playing with each other of all different ages, which is a nice thing. Possibly see in the distance there a daycare. Something so cute about a group of kids walking there. So this bike lane here is a project that the City of Montreal understands that people don't like rapid change. So the first year it was a trial. Second year it's more permanent. Third year you start to see some changes like the extensions on the sidewalks, and then as per usual you have the issue of cars parking in the bike lane, so using a mobility space for a stationary space. The city has now put in the bollards to try and prevent that. The yellow markings on the bike path there for the bus stops. Lady going along quickly on her e-bike, which is nice. Like vélo assistance électrique, electric assist bicycle. Say the general culture in Montreal is for cyclists, as you see ahead, don't necessarily stop or even slow down sometimes, but for stop signs. Is the, I can never remember the state is named after, but essentially the bicycles, because they just don't create the danger that cars do that at a stop sign. It's a yield as opposed to a stop. And here we can see other bike infrastructure like the bike box, so the advance, so the bikes are in front of the cars, increases the safety for the cyclists. Other aspects of the Montreal traffic light system that increase safety for the users. There's no right turn on red on it preceded the reversal of the ITE on whether right turns on red should be permitted. The recommendation now is to not have them. well. On the traffic lights in Montreal, often you have like a pedestrian advance, so vehicles can only go straight when the green light turns initially. So increasing pedestrian safety. On the other side of the road, you can possibly see that there's a line of parked cars. So on the other side of that line of parked cars is a bike lane. It was a reverse before, but now they've made it likely a safer approach where the parked cars, it's the parked cars that are next to traffic and not the cyclists, and also reducing any chance of dooring, because you always have a driver, you don't always have a passenger. And North American context, it's the minority of the time that there's a passenger. I also see the speed limits. This is a minor arterial, 40 kilometers an hour. Residential streets are 30 kilometers an hour. In this neighborhood of Montreal, at least, the cars are pretty, they give priority to pedestrians and cyclists. So in that case, the driver was looking to me whether I was crossing because I had beat them there, but I was waiting for the pedestrian to finish crossing. But they continued to wait, and yeah. Electricity, I think Hydro-Quebec. Slow down just in case the guy comes around the corner. So now we're on to a, if you will, less preferred bicycle infrastructure of just the designated area with no physical separation. So this type of infrastructure might be accepted by people who are comfortable cycling in traffic, but generally, for the majority of the population, it's not really acceptable, and specifically for new riders, young riders. Young riders made themselves young as in children. The experienced ones might say they're okay with it, but generally they don't like being in traffic, and their parents don't like them being in traffic. this street we see, you just have the chevrons for the direction with traffic, and then you have a bike lane counterflow. So it's counterflow only for cars. Obviously, pedestrians can go any which way. And that, again, it's like the inflexibility of cars that requires, and the danger requires such one-way streets. So the law was changed a few years ago as to whether cyclists can cross on the pedestrian lights to allow them to. Which again makes sense, because although cyclists do pose some injury risk to pedestrians, the likelihood of any collision resulting in a death is very low. So low, it's very hard to find examples. Alright, so now we're on the completely separated path. Here it's shared with pedestrians. I'd say sometimes there are cyclists who forget that. And that anyone is a cyclist is listening to this, please always be aware of the context. Slow down when there's lots of pedestrians. Heading out a little later today. It's past 9 a.m. so kind of missed the morning commute rush. Can't possibly see, but it's pretty muggy today. A roundabout for bicycles here. Well, active travel bridge. Again, always important for cyclists. Go really slow. I should say that it does ask for cyclists to dismount. And some photo shoot or something happening along our canal. Not a bad spot. So we're into Quartier Saint-Henri. This is a neighborhood that's kind of enclosed within some major transport. It's a lot of construction stuff going on in this neighborhood. It's kind of become a popular area in that it still has shops. You can see in the middle of the road a balise, traffic sign reminding people that this is a 30-kilometer-an-hour street. See the cars waiting to turn because they only had the green arrow. Now some more bike infrastructure. So here we have the bike lane, and then we have a zone de tampon, but basically a buffer zone, and then the protective barriers. I feel like this paint is old in that it's showing bikes going in both directions on the road. Oh no. Okay, so this is actually a problem because so you have a 2-lane bike lane over there, bi-directional lane, but then you don't have a bi-directional lane on the other side. Starting one of our numerous climbs that I'll make. You can see there that the bike lanes are only officially open from April to the mid-November. That can probably be extended by a month on each side. Now it's climate change. Just really don't have snow until later. So at this intersection, if a pedestrian was here and they press the light, you would have a all pedestrian phase. Meaning that's red for all the cars. But as there isn't one here, I don't think we'll get one. Here we'll cross one of the first major east-west bike paths, bi-directional. as I said, we're a bit past the real rush hour, so had we been here about an hour earlier, there'd be quite a few cyclists passing along there. And also it's summer holidays, there's less traffic in general. So we're now into a neighborhood called Westmount, one of the wealthiest in Montreal. It's not technically part of the city of Montreal. And this neighborhood, it's one of the neighborhoods where they've been pretty active in putting in a lot of traffic calming. So here, got an all-phase pedestrian crossing. Allow me to get out and over. And here's one of the bigger climbs. So, up the hill and around the corner. Probably not going to be talking much. This is, take my mask off for a second. This is the worst climb. I'm behind a old van that's, I don't know if you can see, but it's spouting blue smoke, so I'm gonna put my mask on. So that's my first peak. Now I go down, and then I have to climb again. Alright, so we might technically be in Côte des Neiges right now. You see above the traffic speed sign, I said Montreal. The Côte des Neiges, it's one of the most diverse neighborhoods in all of Canada. This part of Côte des Neiges, though, is still kind of the Westmount, like wealthy homes. However, yeah, in the area there's also some, yeah, mixed housing of various types. These would be very wealthy households. Like, if you're just in the 1%, you can't afford to live here. You have to be in even higher stratosphere. So here we got through oratory grounds. There. As it's private grounds, they can have a nice speed limit of 20 kilometers an hour. 20 kilometers an hour is a decent bike speed. Of course, if you're a racer, you'll be like, oh, that's too slow. But the majority of the population doesn't really get past 20 kilometers an hour on a bike. And it'd be nice. You reduce the differential speed between the cars and bikes, improving safety. And the flow doesn't really change that much either. Stopping and starting. And just in an urban setting, it just doesn't make sense to have really high speeds. Not just for the danger, but it takes up too much space. Alright, so we're on Queen Mary now. I'd say the ugliest part of my commute. Now I'm just straight out in traffic. Often a lot of buses. Here's this lane. And I gotta put my mask on. So you can see it's that straight arrow. I was one lane over back there because there's a turning lane. And here you see there's a zone that tampon, this buffer zone. I see, so we call it the Doring zone. Alright, so without the straight arrow, this guy would probably try to be aggressive and possibly do his right turn. But because there's a straight arrow, he just sits. This allows me to go safely forward. Alright, so now we've arrived at the University of Montreal. We have HEC, which is the economics school on my left. And then we get up go past the University of Montreal first, and then at the top, Polytechnique. And what starts here is really my last and final terrible climb, so yeah, just hear me huffing and puffing for a bit. Lower gears. That's better. Yeah, one more little climb, but I'll caught my breath by there. Nice and short and power up. There we are. So, my watch tells me it's about 39 minutes of cycling. And that, average speed about 16 kilometers an hour, 10.3 kilometers, apparently 308 active calories, average heart rate is 132, and 161 meters elevation. Feels like more. Humidity 86%. There you go, muggy.